My name is Sishweni and I'm 30 years old and I founded the Lazy Makoti. In 2014, I was working in corporate and then a friend of mine needed cooking lessons. And this was because she was due to get married into quite a traditional family that sort of had that expectation that she should know how to make, a few traditional dishes. So then she asked me to give her a few lessons. This is after she went around looking for a place that could teach her how to make these things. And then surprisingly in South Africa, there wasn't such a place. She found, places where she could learn to make French and Japanese and all sorts of cuisines, but not traditional South African cuisine. And then it got me thinking, if you do want to learn how to make, pap or chakalaka or mhodu, where would you go, especially in the city in Joburg? And then I gave her these cooking lessons, and then she started recommending my services to other people, and it literally snowballed from there. So clearly this is a thing. This is a thing that people are interested in. This is a service that people would want to get, but there's just no place to get it. That's when I decided, let's see how far this thing can go. And then that became what I did every weekend. I just randomly went to people's houses and taught them how to cook. And then because I was so unhappy in corporate, I then decided to register this business and see if we can give it life. I first decided to go to Culinary School. I went to the Chef Training and Innovation Academy in Centurion, and then I did a diploma, and then the Lazy Makoti really happened. Biggest obstacle I had to overcome, I guess, number one was convincing my friends and family that this was the right move. I think they were the most nervous about it, and understandably so. How do you move from having a stable income and this career that you spent years building, and then to wake up one day and say, actually, I'm going to start this thing, especially when you sort of don't have the blueprint. It's not like I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. I grew up watching my parents running a business or anything like that. So it really was throwing caution to the wind, which is not the kind of person I am. So everybody was kind of shocked. So that's one of the challenges, and then the real life challenges, that is the business not bringing in money early on, and there's still bills to pay. So I can't tell everyone, sorry, I can't pay you now because I'm trying to build something. That was in the beginning one of the hardest, just realizing that you have to downgrade a lot of things in order to be able to build this thing from scratch. So the challenges that I think were specific to me being a woman, and maybe being a black woman and being black, is because of the industry that I'm in. The kitchen is very much untransformed. It's very white, it's very male. So that's one of the things that shocked me, actually. After culinary school, going into the industry kitchens and realizing, at the very top, it's still incredibly white, incredibly male, and it can be quite a hostile environment for women in general. So that I didn't expect. I mean, who would think that cooking is male? But in every industry kitchen that I've been in, it's been very male, and then even the editorial side of it remains very white. So that was quite a shock to discover. And it wasn't easy. Just all the barriers that exist for people, previously disadvantaged people, to actually access the industry. Culinary school is incredibly expensive. When you do your industry training, which is 6 months to a year that you're in this kitchen, you're not getting paid. So you do these internships that are not paid, but how are you getting to work? And you have to feed yourself during lunch. So there are quite a lot of barriers to entry in this industry. And how I overcame these challenges was, I was lucky enough to have worked before, and therefore had savings that I could use to fund all of this. And I had entered a competition in one of the accelerators, SAB Kickstart, and I'd won money that helped finance me going to culinary school. So that really helped a lot. the reason I really believe that I should go to culinary school is because I don't believe in just winging it. So I already had the skill set, but I knew that just getting the education would take me to another level. You know, how do I validate that you are spending this money for me to give you these cooking classes because I'm just passionate about cooking. You know, I believe that I needed that qualification behind me, and I think that I was right. And just the doors that it opens, having, you know, that piece of paper. And you know, and I wouldn't have been able to, you know, train with some of the best chefs if I hadn't gotten the qualification. So I'm really glad that I made that choice. So incubators or accelerators are basically just organizations that exist to help you as an entrepreneur, particularly when you're starting out. You know, I speak a lot about how they are there, and I think everyone should try to find one and access the help that is there, because they're mostly free, and from mentorship to advice to strategic planning, sometimes to capital that you need in your business. They offer all of these things and they are for free. So why wouldn't you want to access all the help that is there? Especially in South Africa, you know, a lot of us don't have the blueprint. Like I said, a lot of us aren't raised in families where, you know, you're watching your parents run a business, you're watching your uncle, you know, run this business. But there are people out there that exist solely to help you. So I think everyone should definitely find something. So many. Off the top of my head, I can think of the ones that really helped me. There's one called Spark, and that was more women focused. And then there's one called SAB Kickstart, which is just amazing. Just the work that they've done for entrepreneurship in this country has been amazing. So at the heart of the Lazy Makoti is a love and a desire to preserve, particularly to preserve, you know, our traditional heritage. So when I would give these cooking classes, of course, I'd be teaching how to make traditional meals. And for instance, how do you make pap if you don't have the right instruments? And you're not going to walk into a Mr. Price home and buy lefetlo because they simply don't have it. You know, which is testament to the fact that, you know, we need to start producing all of these things. So that's sort of how the merchandise happened, because there were a lot of things that a lot of cuisines I was teaching, and you just simply could not find the products to make them with. And that's how that happened. So the idea of the book was sort of always there. It came about when I was giving the cooking classes. You know, everybody would ask, is there a book? Now that I've done the class, is there a way I can get the recipes? And then I started asking people to bring their favorite cookbook to the classes. And then I noticed that everybody uses like 3 or 4 recipes out of the book, and then then it's not useful. So I wanted to put together a cookbook that is, first of all, useful. I wanted you to be able to use it frequently. And then I obviously wanted to document traditional South African recipes. I felt like I had never seen a cookbook that truly reflects me. And I felt like, you know, there should be more people that feel like that. Why in South Africa is there no cookbook that is reflective of the majority of South Africans? I thought that was insane. So I started to put together all these recipes that I knew were South African favorites, and then the process to get it published was a trip. So I would knock on all these doors, and, you know, the overwhelming answer that I always got was that Black South Africans don't buy books. Black South Africans are aspirational, so they wanna learn to cook Italian, you know, maybe do a South African's take on Japanese cuisine. That would sell. And of course they sort of had the numbers to prove it. And yeah, I was relentless in, you know, I'm gonna get this book done, even if it means I'm gonna self-publish. And then that was the road I was taking. I was gonna self-publish, and then got intercepted by my publishers now, who heard of a meeting that I had with a bookstore. And then they decide, you know what, let's put this book together. And I fought to have, you know, the content as it is right now. We're not gonna modernize it too much. I still want it to be, recipes that are traditionally South African. And I'm glad we did that, and just the support of everyone, the incredible validation that is, 2 months later, the book is going into a third reprint. We're the #1 selling cookbook in South Africa 2 months on. It's been incredible. The success of this book has been totally unbelievable, and such validation that yes, Black South Africans are ready to see themselves represented everywhere, including in cookbooks. So that has been just amazing, and I think it just proves that everything that we want to see, the movie that you want to see, you have to go out there and make it. The book that you want to read, you have to write it. No one else is going to. So #1, what's different about the cookbook is I wanted it to be easy. I want the kitchen to not be intimidating. I mean, that's been the goal of this whole operation, to get people back in the kitchen. I want you to know exactly what you're putting in your body because you're making it. So #1, I wanted the recipes to be easy. Even, the kind of measurements that are in the book. It's a cup, it's a spoon, it's stuff that's at your disposal, and it's easy to read, very quick recipes. So I want you to get back to cooking because it's really not that hard. #2, I wanted it to be truly reflective of you. It's the festive season. We all know what we're going to be eating. You're making khamere, you're making dikuku. All those things should be in a South African cookbook. So it was really important to me in the picking of the recipes that are going to be in there to be truly reflective of where we are in the world. And then in the styling of the book, it was very important that I style the book, or someone like me styles the book. What most people don't know is that maybe all food stylists, I'm going to say a lot of food stylists in South Africa are not black. So that then affects how, the stuff that we're consuming, how it looks, because it's always from someone else's perspective. So that's one thing that I fought to do, to style my own cookbook. I know what dikuku and khamere must look like. Only I will be able to, to give that sort of perspective in the book. And again, validated by the response that I get from everyone that's bought the book. Oh my gosh, I feel like I can see my mom, I can see me, I can see my uncle, I can see my family in this book. The stories that go with the recipes. Only, we could know what, the significance of khamere and dikuku when there's a wedding. So it was so important for me to be able to put this together and have it reflect you. So the Lazy Makoti, Makoti means daughter-in-law or bride in Zulu. And so how the name came about was when I was giving this friend the cooking class, the cooking lessons, and she kept saying she's so freaked out and nervous that her new family would call her the Lazy Makoti just because she can't cook. And I thought that was catchy and just so on trend right now, with these modern women that are still as African. So just the meeting of these two worlds that we're trying to navigate, trying to, still be true to your African roots while moving with the world and the times and being this modern person. So I feel like those two words sort of come together in the Lazy Makoti, and everybody gets it. Everybody gets it immediately when I say the Lazy Makoti. They can picture the kind of person that is a Lazy Makoti. What I'm hoping that people could take from the book, I feel like they are taking exactly that from the book. Every time I get tagged on, I bought the book and this is how I feel about it, everybody's saying the same thing. I can't believe that, I'm in this book. Everybody feels like they are literally, I wrote this book for them, which is just, it's incredible. And I feel like this was such a right time. I feel like, Black South Africans, Black women are ready to see themselves represented. And when I think about it, I cannot believe that there are publishers that could not have had the foresight to see that this was the right time. We're not relaxing our hair anymore. We are ready to embrace our roots. So it blows my mind that there was a publisher that did not have the foresight as to where Black South Africans are at right now. We want to see ourselves represented everywhere. Obviously, a TV show think that's natural progression, is a TV show, and then getting the merchandise in a retailer. Yeah. So making them more accessible to the everyday South African. And then where can people get the book? They can get it at literally everywhere. Exclusive Books, CNA, Bargain Books, Bridge Books, Loot, Take-A-Lot, Woolies, literally everywhere. There's no not finding this book. And people can reach me on social media at the Lazy Makoti on Twitter and Instagram, the Lazy Makoti on Facebook, or they can email me info@thelazymakoti.com. My definition of a girl boss is a girl that swims against the tide. I think that we are lucky enough to be born in a time where we can make our own rules. So I think someone that wants something and then works to get it is definitely a girl boss, whatever it is. And I think that what makes me a girl boss is how relentless I am when I want something. When I want something, I want it, and I'm gonna make it happen.